pressure and filling up the wheel. So pump is anything which applies pressure. So the heart actually acts as a pump. It pumps all the blood coming to it with a sufficient pressure all around the body. So whatever blood comes into the heart will going to pump all this blood out of the body to the rest of the parts of the body. So I always give the example of the heart as an airport. So what happens is that the people come to the airport and they take their aeroplane and they go out of the airport. They don't stay in the airport, right? Similar is the case with the heart. The blood comes to the heart, and then heart will going to pump this blood either into the lungs or to rest of the body, right? So heart actually acts as a pump, which will going to pump out all the blood that is coming into it. So there are different events that are occurring in the heart, from one heartbeat to another heartbeat. So in 1 minute there are 70 to 100 heartbeats, and there are many events that are occurring between one heartbeat and the second heartbeat. So these events are called as cardiac cycle. Right now we will see that what actually is happening in the heart. Heart acts as a dual pump. Dual pump means double pump. So if we are talking about the heart, actually the heart is consisting of two pumps, the right pump and the left pump, the right side of the body and the left side of the right side of the heart and left side of the heart. Now this is a diagram which very clearly explains you the direction of the flow of the blood. So you must be knowing this already, but I will going to explain it to you further. Please listen it carefully. So you can see here that the blood from deoxygenated blood, right? Know the difference between oxygenated and deoxygenated. Deoxygenated means the blood which has already given the oxygen to the body parts. It enters into the right atrium through the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. From the lower parts of the body are, your legs, your abdomen, or your thorax. It enters through the inferior vena cava, whereas the blood from the upper parts of the body, like head and neck region, it enters into the right atrium through the superior vena cava. So now this blood enters into the right atrium. So the right atrium will contract and will send the blood to the right ventricle. So there are valves here, right AV valve, atrioventricular valve. So when the blood is pumped from the right atrium to the right ventricle, this valve is going to open and the blood enters into the right ventricle. So from the right ventricle, the blood will going to enter into the pulmonary artery. You can see here, this is the pulmonary artery. Here one thing is different. All the arteries of the body, they carry oxygenated blood, right, except the pulmonary artery which carries the deoxygenated blood, right? So I will the blood will going to enter into the right atrium. From the right atrium, it is pumped into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, it is taken to the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery will going to take this deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation, right? So the right heart basically receives the deoxygenated blood from the body and takes it to the lungs for the oxygenation. Clear? Okay, so this side or the right heart functions totally separately from the left heart. The right and the left heart, as you can see here, are separated by a septum in between, interventricular septum, right, and interatrial. So it will totally separate the two sides of the heart, right? So when this blood is taken to the lungs, this blood is oxygenated. Now this oxygenated blood is taken back to the heart to the left side. So you can see right side receives the deoxygenated blood from the body, and that left side will going to receive the oxygenated blood from the lungs through the pulmonary vein. Now pulmonary means lungs. So from the lungs, the pulmonary veins will take the oxygenated blood. So pulmonary veins are the only veins of the body which have the oxygenated blood, right? Otherwise, all the veins of the body, they carry the deoxygenated blood. Now, the oxygenated blood will enter from the lungs to the pulmonary veins and enters into the left atrium. You see here, the left atrium. From the left atrium, the blood then goes to the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, the blood will enter into aorta. You see here, and from the aorta, this oxygenated blood is then distributed throughout your body, throughout your systemic circulation, so that your body will going to get the oxygenated blood and it can function well, right? So you can see that right side, basic function of the right side is that it will receive the deoxygenated blood and will going to send it to the lungs for oxygenation. Clear? Whereas the left side will receive the oxygenated blood from the lungs and will distribute it to your body so that your body can function well. Clear? So this actually gives you an idea that how the blood circulation occurs in the heart. But here you have to keep in mind that right heart acts as a right pump, left heart acts as a left pump. There is no mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. But at the same time, another thing that is very, very important is that both the sides are pumping equal quantities of blood. If the right heart receives and then sends 5 liter of the blood to the lungs in 1 minute, the left heart will receive and then send 5 liters of the blood to the body, right? So both of the hearts, sides of the hearts, they will going to send and receive equal quantities of blood. So right heart will also have 5 liters in 1 minute, and left heart will also deal with the 5 liters in 1 minute, right? So this diagram summarizes again what have we studied previously. So you can see heart is divided into two halves, the right and the left. Each half has two chambers, the atrium and the ventricle. You see, right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle, and the two halves are separated by the presence of a septum, and both the sides act as two separate units, right? Two separate pumps. So this diagram, you see, the blood will enter by superior and inferior vena cava to right atrium. Then this valve will open and blood will go to the right ventricle. Then it will enter into the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery will going to take it to the lungs for oxygenation. Then this oxygenated blood will be taken back to the left atrium, right through the pulmonary veins. From the left atrium, it will enter into the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, this oxygenated blood will enter into the aorta, and the aorta will going to distribute this oxygenated blood throughout your body, right? So this is all what we have discussed. I have also written it here so that you people, when you will revise, it will become easy for you. So is it clear? If it's clear, then we can move to the next slides. But before that, I would like any one of you please to unmute yourself, and then just summarize this slide, because I want to have an impression as if we are sitting together, huh? So I want to listen to your voices, right? So I have allowed you to unmute. So any one of you please unmute yourself and then just revise whatever I have told you, and then we will move to the next slide. So who will like to please just summarize this by unmuting? Yes, Amir.
Uh, at the first, the deoxygenated blood come from the body throughout the
Vinaka.
superior vena cava. Then it goes to the right atrium. Then the valve open and go to the right ventricle. Then
Very good.
throughout the pulmonary artery, it goes to the lungs. Then it come back throughout the left atrium then throughout the valve to the left ventricle, then it goes to the aorta artery, and then supply the whole body with
Excellent.
oxygenated blood.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I mean, you have actually done a great job. Excellent. Wonderful. Okay. And so this actually gives you an idea that how the heart will going to receive and send the blood, right? Okay, now we will going to move towards the next slide. Thank you so much, Amir. Well done. Okay, so the circulatory system is made up of two loops. One is called as pulmonary circulation and other is called as systemic circulation, right? So pulmonary is between the heart and the lungs, and the systemic is between the heart and the tissues, right? So you see here that this is the systemic circulation. So 1 minute. Yes, so you can see here that you have two types of circulation, which is between the heart and the lungs is called as the pulmonary circulation, which is between the heart and rest of the body is called as the systemic circulation. Now we will study the components. So the blood will enter from the left atrium to the left ventricle, and then it goes to the tissues and then comes back to the right atrium. So it is systemic circulation. So as we have discussed, that systemic circulation is between the heart and the body. So you see, it starts from left atrium, left ventricle, the tissues, and then the right atrium. These are the components of the systemic circulation. Then we will going to move on to the pulmonary circulation. It comprises of right atrium, right ventricle, and then the blood goes to the lungs. So this circulation occurs between the heart and the lungs, and it is called as pulmonary circulation, right? Okay, so the heart is a pump, and dual mean double pump, that we have already discussed. But you can see here, this is the right wall of the ventricle, right ventricular wall, and this is left ventricular wall. Now my question to you people is, we have discussed that both of the sides of the heart, they receive and they send equal quantities of the blood, 5 liters in 1 minute. Then why the wall of left ventricle is more thick? You can see here the left ventricular wall is thicker as compared to the right ventricular wall, although both of the ventricles receive the same amount of the blood and send the same amount of the blood. So what do you think? Please write down in the chat box. What do you think? Why the left side of the heart wall is more thick? Why the left ventricular wall is more thick as compared to the right? Yusuf says because it has to pump to whole of the body. Yes, left ventricle pumps. Okay, but the amount of the blood is same, 5 liters in 1 minute. Yes, you are right that the blood goes to the body, but against high pressures. This is the main reason, right? The right atrium also sends the 5 liter of the blood to the lungs, and left atrium also sends 5 liter to the body. But the only difference is that in the lungs the pressure is very very low, right? But in the body the pressure is high. You know what is normal blood pressure? 120 by 80. So the left ventricle has to pump the blood against high pressure of 120 by 80, whereas the pressure in the lungs is only 20 by 8, right? So as the pressure in the body is more, blood pressure is more, so the left ventricle have to function more, it has to function hard, so it needs to be more strong. So that's why you see the ventricular walls are more stronger. So you know that those people who are athletes, what do? When they do exercise, they build up the muscles, right? So similarly, the left ventricular wall is thicker because it has to do more function. As it is doing more function, so it becomes more thicker, right? So this is the left ventricular wall and this is the right ventricular wall. Okay. Now we come on to the valves and the importance. The heart is having 4 valves. So what is the importance of these valves is that they allow the blood to flow only in one direction, right? So the heart valves are like doors, which open in one direction and close in the other direction, right? So if you will going to open them from here, from outside they will open, but if you will try to open them from the other side, no, they will not, they will going to close, right? So let's see here. When the pressure is right more at this side, let's suppose this is right atrium. When the pressure in the right atrium is more, what it will do, it will going to open the valve and the blood will enter from the right atrium into the right ventricle. But once the pressure in the right ventricle becomes more, the same pressure will going to close this valve. So you see the position of the valve is in such a way that high pressure on this side opens the valve so that the blood enters into the, let's suppose, right ventricle. But once the blood is in the right ventricle, the high pressure in the ventricle, when it moves in this direction, the position or the shape of the wall is such that it will going to close the valve, right? So this is a one way valve. It means that it will going to open only in one direction, right? So what is the importance of this one way valve is that it will allow the blood to flow only in one direction. So you can see here, this is the valve which is present between the right atrium and the right ventricle. So when the blood will move from the right atrium to the right ventricle, the valve will going to open because of high pressure here in the right atrium. But once the blood enters into the right ventricle, the backward pressure will close this valve, as you can see here, right? So this is a one way valve because when it will going to close, no blood will go back. If it was a two-way valve, what will happen? When the ventricle will contract, the blood can go back to the atrium. We don't want that, huh? So we want only the blood to flow in one direction. Clear? I will not go into the anatomical details of these valves, that some are bicuspid, some are tricuspid. Anatomy people will take care of these things, right? So from the physiological point of view, the important thing that you need to remember is that the valves are one-way valves, right? So they allow the movement of blood only in one direction. Clear up till now? If anyone has any question, you can ask me. If there is no question, then we can move to the next slide. Excellent. So I always say that if somebody is not saying anything, huh, it means that either everything is clear or either nothing is clear, huh? I hope that everything is clear to you people. Wonderful. Okay, Kauthar, thank you, Manar, Zahra, Haura. Now, inshallah, we will move to the next slide. Okay, thank you, Badriya. Now we will talk a little about the characteristics of the cardiac muscle cells. Characteristic means some of the features. So you can see cardiac muscle cells are like this. Huh? So you have already studied the features of the skeletal muscle cells in your previous lecture. Cardiac muscle cells are also striated in their appearance. You can see here they have actin and myosin filaments, but their special feature is that they have, you know, these things, gap junctions in between. You see these blue colored structures. So what are they? Intercalated discs. These structures which you can see here, they are called as intercalated discs. So what are they? You will see here. The adjacent cardiac muscle cell joined by the intercalated disc. So one cardiac muscle cell is joined or connected to the other cardiac muscle cell by a structure which is called as intercalated disc. The intercalated disc has two things, desmosomes and gap junctions, right? So what is a desmosome? The desmosome is a structure which holds two of the cell together. So it mechanically holds. It is like a glue which fixes two of the parts of the cell together, right? It is called as a desmosome. Clear? The second part is called as a gap junction. So you see the gap junctions are small channels. So what is the function of these channels is that when the action potential reaches to one of the cell, it is transmitted to the other cell by passing through these small gap junctions, right? So it is like this. Cell number 1 is connected to cell number 2, and in between them are the gap junctions. So when the action potential arises or generates, in one of the cell, it is transmitted to the other cell through these gap junctions. Clear? I will repeat once again that the cardiac muscle cells, as you can see here, are connected together by the special structures which are called as intercalated discs. So these blue colored structures are the intercalated discs, right? So what are these intercalated discs made up of? Two things, the desmosomes and the gap junctions. What is the function of desmosomes? That they will going to hold two of the cells together. What is the function of the gap junctions? That they will going to transmit the action potentials from one cell to another cell. Clear? Okay. Now atria and ventricle act as two separate pumps, right? So when the atria are contracting, at that time ventricles are not contracting. So there are no gap junctions between atria and ventricle, right? The atria, so when the blood is there in the atria, right, then the atria will contract. At that time ventricles are not contracting, because if there were gap junctions between the atria and ventricle, they will contract together. We don't want that, right? So atria contract separately of the ventricles. So atria has gap junctions between them, but there are no gap junctions between atria and ventricle. We will take these further details about this thing in the next lecture, right? And also we will talk about the junctional tissue in the next lecture as well, right? So what is the importance of gap junctions is that because of gap junctions, whole of the heart will contract together as a pump. For example, one part of the atrium, if it will going to receive the cardiac impulse, this cardiac impulse will be transmitted to whole of the atrium very fastly, and whole of the atrium will contract together. It is just like a WhatsApp group, huh? For example, I send a message to your group leader, and I say to her or him that please share this message for whole of the class, for all the PT and RT students. So she will send the message, and every one of you will going to receive this message. So what does this mean? That it is a very strong communication system, right? So it is, the message spreads to whole of your class at once within 1 minute. It's not that somebody will going to get the message today, some will get it tomorrow, and some will get it later on. No. Similarly, because of the gap junctions, this action potential will be transmitted to whole of the atria together, and all of them will contract. For example, if I will just send a message to your WhatsApp that open slide number 84, right? And this message will be received to all of you, and all of you will going to open that slide at once. So same are the gap junctions, that they transmit the message fastly, so that whole of the heart will contract together as a single syncytium. Syncytium means that it will going to contract together, right? Okay. So by this, alhamdulillah, we have ended up with the first lecture. So the first lecture is always an easy one. It is a type of treat for you people, the small lecture. Now, if you people have any questions, you can ask me, please, or please let me know if there is any confusion, if anything that is not clear. Thank you, Badria. If it's clear, wonderful. Thank you, Kauthar. Now, I will going to give you people a small break of how much time? 5 minutes or 10 minutes? How much break do you want? Because if we will start early, we will also finish early. The next lecture will also be of 35 to 40 minutes. So I will give you a break of 10 minutes. Huh? It is 8, let me see the time. It's 8:35, and 8 at 8:45, inshallah, we will be starting up with our second lecture, right? So I'll be back after 10 minutes. So you can just freshen up. Those who have not taken their breakfasts, they can take their breakfasts, and then inshallah we will be back after 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My dear students, Assalamu alaikum. So I'm back. Uh, can you listen to me clearly? Is my voice clear? Please write down yes in the chat box if my voice is clear. Thank you, Amir, Anwar, Zara. Thank you so much. So now, inshallah, we will going to start with our second lecture. That is about the electrical activity of the heart, right? Okay, so let's start. So before we start with this lecture, I would just like to ask you one thing: that do you think that your heart has any current, or your body has any current? Have you ever felt this current from your body? Hmm? Do you think that there is any current in your body? Yes, your body does produce a current, but you cannot feel that current, right? Because that is very, very small. The heart does produce an electrical activity, but this electrical activity is very, very small to be felt by you. But you actually can record this electrical activity with the help of the ECG. You must have heard about ECG, right? So in today's lecture, we will be talking about the electrical activity of the heart, right? Okay, so the objective of this lecture is that we will be talking about the conducting system of the heart, that how the electrical activity is generated and how it is transmitted to different portions, what are the different pacemaker cells in the heart, and a little bit about the ECG waves, right? Okay, so this is actually an interesting lecture. So you know that the cardiac cells, as we have discussed in the previous lecture, now we will be talking in details the different types of cardiac muscle cells. They are of two types. One are called as autorhythmic cells and other are called as contractile cells. Auto means automatic. Rhythm means rhythm. It means that these are the cells which automatically will going to generate a rhythm. And how many of the cells are autorhythmic cells? 1%. It means that 1% of your cardiac cells, they can generate the electrical impulses, right? Whereas 99% of the cells in your heart, they are the contractile cells. It means that they respond in response to this autorhythmicity, right? So the autorhythmic cells, they will going to generate the action potentials, or they will provide an electrical current, whereas rest of the cells, they will respond in response to that electrical current, right? So you know that action potentials are needed for everything. For example, if I have to move my finger, right, what happens? Action potential starts from the brain. You have studied it in your skeletal system, huh? This action potential then moves all the way through my arm and then reaches to my finger and then causes my finger to move, isn't it? Yes. So similarly, in case of heart also, for the contractions, you first need an action potential, but the heart does not get this action potential from somewhere else. The heart will going to generate the action potential from within itself, right? So the action potential is generated within the heart, and this action potential then goes to the other cardiac cells and causes these cardiac cells to contract. Clear? I will give you an example. For example, if you enter into the room and you will turn on the light, the switch, huh? So the current will be generated. This current will move from the switchboard to the light, and then the light will be turned on. So the current actually which is created in the switchboard are the autorhythmic cells, and then this current is transmitted through the wires, right? And then it goes to the bulb, and the bulb will going to glow up. So and electrical activity is converted into a work, into mechanical activity, right? Similar is the case in the heart. The autorhythmic cells will going to generate an action potential, and then this action potential will go to the cells and cells will going to contract, right? So you can say that the autorhythmic cells are like the kings of the nation. And contractile cells are general population. So whatever orders the king give, rest of the population has to obey that orders, right? So 99% have to obey and 1% will give the orders, right? So autorhythmic cells initiate. Initiate means that they will going to produce and then conduct the action potentials, whereas the contractile cells will going to respond to these action potentials, right? So I have just summarized whatever I have said here. So contractile cells are 99%. They do the mechanical work of contraction. They do not generate the action potential in normal conditions, right? They only contract. Whereas 1% of the cells are the autorhythmic cells. What is their function? They generate the action potentials and also they conduct the action potentials, but they do not contract, right? So the autorhythmic cells generate and conduct the action potentials, whereas the contractile cells they will going to respond. So you can say that the autorhythmic cell is like the electrical circuits and wires in your home. The electrical buttons you have to turn them on, then the wires will take the current to the electrical appliances, and contractile cells are like electrical appliances, for example fridge, television, air conditioner, fans. So all of them do a mechanical work, but they cannot do the mechanical work until and unless they get an electrical current, right? So the electrical current is generated through the autorhythmic cell, which is the wiring system and the current generating system of the heart, and then this current is transmitted to rest of the body cells. Clear? Okay. So what is autorhythmicity? Autorhythmicity means that the cardiac cells do not have to get an impulse from the outside, right? They do not get an action potential somewhere outside from the heart. This action potential is generated within the heart in the specialized cell, right? So anybody knows the name of these cells which can generate the action potentials? Does anybody know the name of these specialized cell in the heart which can generate the action potential? Excellent, Amir. They are pacemaker cells. What is their name? They are pacemaker cells, but they have a specific name. Do you know the name? Okay, I will going to tell you the name. So they are SA nodal cells, right? So you see here in the right atrium on the upper side is a node which is called as SA node. So what happens, this SA node will going to generate an action potential. So now you can see that the blue colored system here in your heart is the autorhythmic cells which generate and conduct the action potentials, right? And when these action potentials they reach to the cardiac contractile cells, which are the atrial and ventricular cells, then these cells will going to contract. So the mechanical work is done by these contractile cells, right? And electrical work is done by these autorhythmic cells. So you can just think about it that these blue colored structure is the electric, that the SA node is the generator of your heart, of your home. Let's suppose you have a generator at your home which generates the electricity, which is the SA node. Then this electricity is transferred to whole of your home with the help of a wiring system, right? Right? And then this wiring system will take the electrical current to different appliances, for example television, fridge, radio, fans, everything that runs with electricity. And when these things they receive electricity, they start functioning, which is the mechanical work, right? Similar is the case here. SA node will going to generate an action potential, and this action potential will be transmitted through the internodal pathway, right? So this is SA node, this is AV node, and between the two nodes is a pathway which is called as internodal. Internodal means between two nodes. So the impulse will be transmitted from SA node to the AV node through the internodal pathway, and also it goes from the right atrium to the left atrium through the interatrial pathway. Inter means between the two, right? So this impulse, when it reaches to the AV node, here it stays for some time. It sits here for some time, right? This impulse. In the meanwhile, the impulse have entered here into both of the atrium. The current have reached to both the atria. So what will happen? Both the atria will contract, right? And when they contract, they will send the blood to the ventricles. Clear? So you see what is the function of this electrical activity is that it will going to send the impulses or the electrical currents or the action potentials to the atrias, right? And then this electrical current will be transmitted through whole of the atria through the gap junctions, and then both the atrias will contract. When they will contract, what will happen? They will send the blood from the atria to the ventricles. So if there was no electrical activity, no current, there will be no contraction. For example, if you do not turn the switch button on, there will be no light in the tube light, right? So you need an electrical activity to do a mechanical work. Okay, clear up till now? Very good. So from atria, the impulse will going to enter into the AV node. From SA node, it will enter into the AV node. Here, the impulse will delay for some time, and during this delay, the blood will move from atria to the ventricle by the atrial contraction. Right now, the impulse will move from the AV node here to the AV bundle, and then this bundle divides into two branches, the right branch and the left branch, and then these branches then further subdivide into small fibers which are called as the Purkinje fibers. So the impulse will travel very fastly through these Purkinje fibers, and then this impulse will be transmitted to whole of the ventricular muscle fiber together, right? And then both of the ventricles will contract together. So the right ventricle, when it will contract, it will send the blood to the lungs through the pulmonary artery, and the left ventricle, when it contracts, it will send the blood to the aorta. Right? You are clear about it? That the impulses, now revise it with me, please. Impulses are generated in the SA node, then they are transmitted to the AV node through the internodal pathway. During this time period, the impulse stays here in the AV node for some time. In the meanwhile, the action potential is transferred to both of the atrias. The atrias, they contract and send the blood to the ventricles. Now the blood is in the ventricles, but the ventricles will contract only after they receive the impulse, right? Now the impulse or action potential moves from the AV node to the AV bundle. From the AV bundle, it enters into the right and the left bundle branch, and then to the Purkinje fibers. So these Purkinje fibers transmit the impulses to whole of the ventricular muscle fiber, and both of these ventricular muscle fibers then contract very fastly, right? So this is actually the pathway through which the impulses are being generated and then they are being transferred, right? So Abdullah is asking, is something generating the SA node like hormone? No, it's not like a hormone. It's automatic. There is no hormone. There is some. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala have made SA node in such a way that it can generate the impulses automatically by specific movement of ions. There are specific type of the channels and ions which open and close automatically. You don't need to go into these details. These are very microscopic and molecular details. You don't need that. You only need to know that it is because of opening and closing up of some of the channels in the SA node, right? Okay. So just to summarize, that autorhythmic cells, they will generate the impulses in the SA node here. Then this impulse is transmitted through the internodal pathway, and it will go to the AV node. Then it is transmitted from the atria to the ventricles through the AV bundle, and then it enters into the bundle of His. It is divided into right and left Purkinje fibers, and then through the Purkinje fibers, the impulse goes to the ventricles, right? But you have to keep one thing in your mind. As I told you that 1% of the cell, they are autorhythmic cell. It means that SA node can also generate the impulses, AV node can also generate the impulses, bundle of His can also generate the impulses, and Purkinje fibers can also generate the impulses, generate and transmit. But let's suppose there are 5 or 6 kings in this kingdom of heart, huh? So this king generates 80 impulses. This king generates 40 impulses. This king generates 20 impulses. So all of them can generate impulses, but who will become the king of the nation? The one who is the strongest one, right? So SA node is the strongest. So all the others, they can also generate the impulses, but SA node generates largest number of impulses. So before anyone else generates its impulse, SA node will cancel its effect, right? So that is why SA node is the pacemaker of the heart. Got it? So the contractile cells, they cannot generate the impulses, but the autorhythmic cells, they can generate. Clear? So these autorhythmic cells, once they generate the impulses, these impulses are transmitted to the other autorhythmic cells, right? So you can see here autorhythmic cells, SA node generates the impulses at the rate of 70 to 80 per minute. AB node generates at the rate of 40 to 60 per minute. Bundle of his 20 to 40 per minute, and Purkinje fibers also 20 to 40. So who is the fastest generating? This is the rate of generation of action potential, SA node. That is why SA node is called as the pacemaker of the heart. So all of them, they can generate, but SA node generates the fastest impulses. That is why SA node becomes the pacemaker of the heart. Clear? Okay, let's see if you have any questions. Wonderful. Okay, now I would like, please, any one of you to unmute yourself and then just summarize that how the action potentials are generated and how they are transmitted. So if I'm sure that it is clear, then inshallah we will going to move on to the next slide. So please, I want any one of you to please unmute yourself, and so I have allowed you to unmute. So any one of you can unmute yourself and then just summarize all the information in this diagram. Mashallah, we have a class of 84 students, huh? So please, yes, Amir, Ali, you are clear, but I want you to summarize it. Anyone? Ali, can you do it? Can you just summarize what I have said? Or Manal, can you unmute yourself? Please unmute. No one wants to do it? You are shy, or what is the reason, huh? Why you people don't want to summarize it? Okay, if you people don't want to do it, but if it is clear, then it's okay. Then we will going to move on to the next slides. Okay. So this is about the rate of generation of the action potentials. It means that it will going to generate the action potentials very fastly. Now the second thing is conduction velocity. Huh? So you can see this bunny. Huh? He is moving very fastly. Huh? So now we will going to see that in which parts of the heart does the action potential move fastly and where it moves slowly and why. So meters per second, right? In the AV node, you can see the impulse will move very slowly, zero point 0.02 to zero point 0.1 milliseconds, right? You got it? Okay. In the bundle of his, it will going to move through zero point 0.3 to 1 meter per second, again slow. But in the Purkinje fibers, the impulse will going to move very fastly, right? So this is conduction velocity. It means what is the speed of the conduction of impulses. So you see here, the impulse moves slowest in the AV node, right? Why it moves slowest in the AV node? Now we have discussed impulse is generated in the SA node and it goes to the AV node, and here it becomes very slow. So you see here the speed of movement of impulse in the AV node is very slow. Why? Can anybody write down in the chat box, please? What is the reason of slow conduction of impulse? To send the impulses to atrium, Zara, impulses are sent to the atrium through the interatrial pathway. But why it becomes slow in the atrium? Why it becomes slow in the AV node? Why the impulses they become slow in the AV node? So that the atria will going to contract before the ventricles. If it passed fastly from AV node to the Purkinje fibers, then both the atria and ventricle will have contracted together. You don't want this, right? So the cells with the fastest action potential are located in the SA node. It means that SA node is the one which produces highest number of the impulses. So the other autorhythmic cells, before they generate any impulse, SA node will cancel their effect, right? This is what we have already discussed. SA node also generates the impulses, but 70 to 80 per minute. AV node 40 to 60 per minute. Purkinje fiber 20 to 40. But the fastest rate is of the SA node. So before anyone else generates the impulse, SA node will generate its impulse and will cancel the effect of the others. So that is why SA node is called as the pacemaker of the heart. It means that it is the strongest one, right? So that's why it becomes the king of the heart, right? Now we also talked about AV nodal delay. What do you mean by AV nodal delay? Is that once the impulse moves from the SA node to the AV node, it stops here or delays here in the AV node for some time. This is called as AV nodal delay. And what is the importance of the AV nodal delay is that impulse moves from SA node go to both of the atrias, and atria will contract, right? And in the meanwhile, when the atria are contracting, this impulse stays here in the atria for in the AV node for some time, and once the atria have contracted, then the impulse will go to the AV bundle and Purkinje fibers. So it gives the time for the atria to contract, right? So in the meanwhile, the ventricles will going to get enough amount of the blood, right? You got it? This is the reason for the AV nodal delay, so that the atria will contract before the ventricular contraction and both of them do not contract together. Is this point clear about the AV nodal delay? This is an important point. Yes, Abdul Qadir gave a very right answer, to give the ventricle some time to fill up with the blood before the atria contract. Wonderful, wonderful, Haneen. Excellent. Okay, Mir wants me to repeat again. Okay, I will repeat again. The impulse is generated in the SA node, then it goes to the AV node. In the meanwhile, the impulse goes to both of the atrias, right? But once the impulse goes to the AV node, it sits here for some time, stays here for some time. In the meanwhile, when the impulse is staying in the AV node, the atria have received the action potentials. So both of the atria will contract and will send the blood to the ventricles, and now the ventricles are filled up with the blood. So the importance of the AV nodal delay, the impulse delays in the AV node, is that it gives enough time for the atria to contract so that the ventricles are filled up with the blood. If the impulse moved fastly through the AV node, then both the atria and ventricles will have contracted together. We don't want that, right? We want that first the atria will contract, they send the blood to the ventricle, then in the meanwhile the impulse comes to the ventricles, and then the ventricles will contract, right? Okay. Now the second thing is that Purkinje fibers are the fastest. So subhanallah, you see the same impulse, when it is in the AV node, it is slowed down because it is needed. But the same impulse, when it reaches to the Purkinje fibers, it fasts up. It moves very fastly. Why? Because both of we want both the ventricles to contract together at the same time. So if the impulse was moving slowly, what will happen? Let's suppose this part will contract, this part will contract later on. We don't want this. For example, if I'm taking a lecture and I want all of you to do something together, so I will going to send a message that will reach to whole of the class in a single time, right? So that's why the Purkinje fibers are very, very fast. They will transmit the impulse fastly to whole of the ventricle, so that whole of the ventricle will going to contract together, right? Okay, so you can see here the impulse is generated in the SA node. Now just revise it with me. The SA node is the node which is the pacemaker. Why? Because its rate of production of impulses is the fastest one. Once the impulses are generated, they are transmitted by the interatrial pathway and go to the AV node. Also, these impulses go to the other atrias, both the atrias will then contract and send the blood to the ventricles. Now the impulse moves from the AV node to the AV bundle, to the right bundle branch, to the left, and to the Purkinje fibers. Here it moves very fastly, and the impulse is transmitted to both the ventricles, and then both the ventricles contract together, right? So here many values are written. That is the speed of impulses. You don't have to remember these values. The only thing that you need to remember is that SA node is fastest in generating impulses, and AV node conducts the impulses very slowly, and Purkinje fiber conduct the impulses very fastly. But I don't want you exactly to remember these values, right? Okay. Now, I want please any one of you to tell me why SA node is the pacemaker of the heart, right? Because I have now revised it so many times, huh? So please, any one of you, just unmute yourself and just tell me that why SA node is the pacemaker of the heart. Please, I want any one of you to unmute yourself and then tell me why SA node is the pacemaker of the heart. Mashallah, we have 84 participants and not even a single one of you want to repeat it or give me the answer. Okay, if you don't want to talk, just write down it in the chat box. Why is SA node the pacemaker of the heart? I'm not getting any answer. Yes, the excellent Zara, because it has the fastest rate of the production of the action potentials. Excellent. Okay. The next one, the next question is what is the physiological importance of slow conduction of impulses through the AV node? Why the impulses they move slowly through the AV node? What is the importance of AV nodal delay? Can anybody tell this? Very good. Thank you. Abdul Kadir have also told us before. Excellent, Abdul Kadir. So that ventricles get some time to be filled up with the blood. Okay. Now the last question is what is the importance of fast conduction of impulses through the Purkinje fibers? So the impulses are moving very fastly through the Purkinje fibers. So what is its importance? Yes, can anybody tell? What is the physiological importance of fast conduction of impulses through the Purkinje fibers? To contract all the ventricle at the same time. Wonderful, Sahra Abdullah. Thank you very much. Excellent. Okay. So this was about the normal cardiac rhythms. Up till now, we have done everything that is normal, that impulses are generated in the SA node, they go to the AV node, and then, so there are some conditions in which also the abnormal impulses are generated, and this is called as cardiac arrhythmias. Eh, Rhythm means normal, arrhythmia means the rhythm becomes abnormal. So anything which, when there is a variation from the normal rhythm, it is called as abnormal rhythm, right? So what is the abnormal rhythm? You can see here that major causes can be shift of the pacemaker from SA node to other pacemaker cells. For example, the SA node becomes sick, the king becomes weak. So what will happen? Any other king will going to take over. So when SA node will become weaker, the AV node will going to become the pacemaker of the heart. If AV node becomes weaker, Purkinje fibers will become the pacemaker of the heart, right? So there can be a shift of the pacemaker from the SA node to the other pacemaker cells, right? So one reason can be that SA node is sick, SA node becomes weak, and something else becomes stronger than SA node, right? So there are diseases as well. So this is a type of disease. The second reason can be that SA nodes start generating abnormal impulses. For example, normally the SA node generates 70 to 80 impulses per minute. Now let's suppose SA nodes start generating 140 impulses, 160 impulses. So this is also abnormal. Third condition can be that SA node is generating the impulses normally. Everything is going normally, but there is a delay in the conduction. So conducting system does not allows the impulses to pass from the SA node to the AV node, right? And the last reason can be, so I will going to summarize the arrhythmias one by one. First reason can be SA node becomes sick, weak. So instead of generating 80 impulses, it may generate only 20. So then what will happen? The AV node is stronger than the SA node. So now it will become the pacemaker. So this king becomes weak, so the other will going to take over, right? The next to it. This is the first reason. The second reason is that the SA node gets overactive. So instead of 70 to 100 impulses, it produces 130, 140, 150 impulses. This is also abnormal, such a fast heart rate, because whatever is the rate of generation of impulses by the SA node, the same will be the heart rate, right? Okay. Third reason can be that the impulses are being generated in the SA node, but there is some blockage here in the system. So as the system is blocked, so the impulses cannot move from the SA node to the AV node and then forward, right? There is blockage. And the last thing is ectopic focus. Ectopic focus means some abnormal focus. So you can see here, as we have discussed before as well, that the normal cells, atrial and ventricular cells, they cannot generate impulses normally. But in some abnormal conditions, they can generate the impulse. So this is called as ectopic. It means that any other focus in the contracting cells, contractile cells, it becomes very strong. For example, somebody attacks this area, another king, and he is even stronger than SA node. He generates impulses, for example, 140, 150. So it will become the pacemaker. But is it normal to attack someone? No. So this is an abnormal focus, huh? So it will going to take over whole of the heart, but again, this is an abnormal thing, right? So these are the conditions which are called as cardiac arrhythmias. Clear up till now? Okay. Please let me know if the things are clear. Then inshallah you are going to move to the next slide. Thank you, Batul. Thank you, Kauthar. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Amir. Abdullah. Okay. So ECG. What is ECG is the recording of the electrical activity of the heart. As I told you that the heart will going to generate the electrical current, and your body is a very good conductor. It will going to transmit this current to the surface of the body, right? Then from the surface of the body, this current can be detected by special machine called as ECG machine. So this is the way the ECG was done in the earlier 19th century. But now we have very highly developed type of ECG machines. What the ECG machines are doing, they will detect the current, the electrical activity it is produced in your heart that we have just studied. This electrical activity is detected with the help of the ECG machine in the form of special waves and segments. So you must have heard about ECG, huh? So these are the different waves and segments of the ECG, how ECG looks like, huh? So I will not go into details. So people have written books about the details of ECG, and it is very important to detect various type of the problems in the heart. But you people at least need to know very very basic things. I have placed very basic things for you, huh? So you can see here the ECG has one wave which is called as P wave, right? So what does P wave means? Atrial depolarization or atrial activation. So when the action potentials are in the atria, it produces a P wave. So P wave shows you that how the atrias are functioning, right? So if the P wave is normal, it means your atria of the heart are normal. Clear? The second wave is the QRS complex, right? So the QRS complex represents the activation of the ventricles. Clear? What does this represent? Ventricular activation or ventricular current or ventricular depolarization. So if the QRS complex is normal, it means your ventricles are normal. Clear? The third thing is T wave. It represents the repolarization of the ventricles. Now, if you look into the ECG of some patient and it shows abnormal P waves, what does this mean? That the atria of the patient has some problem. Okay, so that's why the P waves are abnormal. If there is some problem in the ventricles, then what will be abnormal? QRS complex, right? So I will repeat again. The P wave represents the atrial activation or atrial depolarization or atrial current. Okay, when the action potentials are in the atria, they produce P wave. When these action potentials they go to the ventricles, they produce QRS complex. When these action potential are in the ventricle, when they repolarize the ventricle, it produces T wave. So any abnormality in the P wave means abnormality in the atria. Any abnormality in the QRS complex indicates abnormality in the ventricles. Clear? Okay. So by this we have ended up with our second lecture of physiology. Uh, this was an important lecture in which I tried to give you some of the basic informations. Now actually this was a small lecture. I will take just 5 more minutes and we will going to cover some of the slides of the next lecture because it's a long one, so I don't want it to be so long in the next class. So I will just be taking 5 more minutes to cover some of the slides of the third lecture. Is it okay? I will be letting you people get free at 9:30. Don't worry, huh? I don't want to overstretch you people, but it's important, right? Okay. Now the third lecture is about the cardiac output and the autonomic regulation of the heart, right? So, every lecture of physiology is related to the previous lecture of physiology. So why have I placed this here diagram? What does this indicate? What are they doing? They are doing some exercise, huh? So nowadays it's COVID-19. So you people are staying mostly at home. You are not coming to the university. Your physical activity have been reduced, isn't it? So I just want to ask you people, as your teacher, it's also my responsibility to take care of your health, huh? Also to tell you that what is good for your health. I just want to ask you, are you doing any type of exercise, especially in these days? For example, are you going to gym, for a walk, for swimming? And even dancing is a type of exercise, huh? Okay. Yes, Badriya is doing walking. Just write down what type of exercise are you people doing. Badriya is doing walking. Abdullah, every day. What do you do every day? What type of exercise? Haneen is also doing walking. Walking. Gym. Okay, Abdullah is doing gym. Ashraf is doing boxing. Oh, excellent. Very good. Haneen, 30 minutes. Yusuf is going with the basketball. Zahra is doing cardios. Okay, excellent. Football. Football is one of the greatest activities. Wonderful. So it means that you people are taking good care of your health. Excellent. So now we will be talking about that. What happens if you are doing exercise, right? How it affects your cardiac output, and what is cardiac output? That is the objective of today's lecture. What is stroke volume? What are the factors which affect the stroke volume? How the cardiac output is regulated, and something about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic stimulation. So does any one of you know that what is cardiac output? As the name indicates, huh? Cardiac means heart, output means what is given out by the heart. So what does the heart gives out? Blood. So the definition of the cardiac output is the volume of the blood which the heart pumps in 1 minute, right? So in 1 minute, the total amount of the blood which is pumped by the heart is called as cardiac output. So the formula to calculate the cardiac output is that you will going to multiply the stroke volume with the heart rate, right? So what is the stroke volume? Stroke means contraction. It means that in one contraction, how much amount of the blood is pumped by the heart, right? So when your heart contracts, it will going to pump out some volume of the blood in one beat. This is called as stroke volume. It means that in one stroke, how much volume of the blood heart pumps out. It is called as stroke volume, right? In one heartbeat. It means that when you will going to put your fingers over your pulse, what do you feel? That is one pulse. That is produced by one heartbeat. So, how much amount of the blood your heart is pumping in one heartbeat is called as stroke volume. But cardiac output means that how much amount of the blood is pumped in 1 minute. So you will going to multiply the stroke volume with the heart rate. So let's suppose if your heart is pumping 70 ml of the blood in one heartbeat and your heart is beating 70 times in 1 minute, so what will be your cardiac output? 4.9 liters. That is 5 liters roughly. Right? You got my point? I will repeat again. Cardiac output is the amount of the blood pumped by the heart in 1 minute. How you will calculate it? You will going to multiply the stroke volume with the heart rate. What is the stroke volume? It is the amount of the blood that is pumped by the heart in one beat, per beat. Huh? So in one beat, it means in one pulse, one beat, 70 ml of the blood is pumped by the heart. So in 1 minute, the heart will going to contract for 70 times. So when you will multiply them, it means that in 1 minute, your heart will going to pump 5 liters of the blood to the body. Isn't it amazing? So you see the total amount of the blood in your body is roughly 5 liters. It means that in 1 minute your heart will going to pump all of your blood to the body, right? 5 liters of the blood to whole of the body in 1 minute, right? So that's why. Okay, now somebody is asking me that what happens if the beats are increased. So let's see. Now let's consider that you can also change the cardiac output, right? For example, if somebody starts doing exercise, what will happen? Heart rate will going to increase and stroke volume will increase, so cardiac output will also going to increase. So anything which increases the heart rate also increases the cardiac output. Anything which increases the stroke volume will also increase the cardiac output. So we have already discussed what is the stroke volume. It is the volume of the blood pumped by each ventricle in one heartbeat, right? So if let's suppose you start doing exercise, what will going to happen? Your stroke volume will going to increase. Your heart is pumping more blood, right? And also your heart is pumping more fastly. So normal cardiac output of 5 liter may be converted to 20 liters per minute, right? So it means that when you are doing exercise, your cardiac output will going to be increased, right? So what are the factors which determine the stroke volume? There are two things. One is intrinsic control and other is extrinsic control. It means that anything which affects the stroke volume or heart rate will going to control your cardiac output, right? So what are the factors which control the cardiac output? Heart rate and stroke volume. So anything which increases the heart rate will increase the cardiac output. Anything which decreases the heart rate will decrease the cardiac output. Anything which increases the stroke volume will increase the cardiac output. Anything which decreases the stroke volume will decrease the cardiac output, right? So inshallah in the next lecture we will take the details that what are the different factors which can increase or decrease the heart rate and the stroke volume, right? So up till now, we have done the basic details of some of the things. So if there is anything which is not clear, you can ask me. Rest of the lecture, inshallah, we will going to continue in your next lecture. So regarding today's uh, attendance, I have sent a questionnaire to you people. Please have a look on this questionnaire. It is about your the effects of COVID-19, right, on the on your lifestyles. I have sent it to your group leader. She will going to share it with whole of your class. So there is also one